Hey everyone, I was thinking about how I asked you to get a source for the session one plan. And I know I showed some of you guys, but there is a research resource linked below that will just real briefly walk you through some good tips for helping you find sources for your composition. And specifically, if you were going to skim it and I wanted you to look at one thing in particular, it would be a short YouTube video that's embedded on that page that shows a person, a student, working through a research question, turning that into keywords, changing out keywords, etc. I would love it if you guys would practice that, and if you would at least skim that resource at some point this week, whether it's before class or as you're working on your composition throughout the week. That's going to give you more of what this hybrid course is supposed to be, which is not just in-class learning, but this online learning that will deepen and enrich your writing and help prepare you even more for college-level writing across the disciplines. I also wanted to let you guys know that I'm asking you to practice SIP, signal phrase, information, paraphrased or summarized, parentheses, and then a works cited entry in this plan, because why not? It'll help us brainstorm ideas for your composition and practice the practical things that we need. I'm only asking for one source, and really over the course of the quarter, 9 sources isn't that much. I don't say that to create any kind of feelings like, oh, well, that sounds like a lot to me, but really just to encourage you guys that if you're curious about something for your composition, don't count sources, just research it, just look it up, just discover. The more that you integrate sources, the more prepared you will be in the long run for complex projects in all kinds of courses and just complex thinking in different kinds of situations. So even if it's just one statistic that you're like, if I had that, I think that could make a really good illustration or point in my piece, look it up, incorporate that. Do more sources than what's required. There's nothing wrong with that. But also, no pressure if you're like, Amber, 1 is fine. Really, I just want you guys to be able to customize your experience based on the goals that you have and what you are ready for right now, what you want to get out of this situation. Another thing I wanted to mention to you is that the format I gave you, find a source, paraphrase some piece of it, add a signal phrase, put in the little X in parentheses, replace that with the first thing listed in the works cited, use MyBib to compile a works cited list. That's a process that you can use over and over and over. So one source might have multiple little sips that you want to take out of it and put into your composition. Then you could go to another source and you could almost start creating for yourself a little SIP journal. That is something that I did use a lot when I was in my bachelor's program primarily, and I was taking on so many things. I was working 2 jobs. I was, doing all these different classes. And if I had that SIP journal, I didn't call it that back in that time, but if I had that, it would make it so much easier for me to then, hold on. Okay, I'm back. Anyway, you can use that SIP journal to then create clusters of information that's related in different sections in your composition. Then all you have to do is add your own voice, add your own evidence, add your own points, your reasoning, your explanations, etc. For me, that was always a really nice way to ensure that I was writing academically, using these sources, and then really taking command of the sources, putting them where I wanted to within my own narrative. Now, the last thing that I want you guys to consider in this online space of our course is I teach it a different way at other points, but I'm just going to use the library's CRAP test because it is somewhat memorable. It's not the most catchy word, but it's kind of catchy. So the CRAP test is a way to evaluate sources, and it stands for credibility, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. Credibility. Is this publication credible? is this person credible? Give it a glance. You don't have to dive too deep right now, but I at least want you guys glancing at these sources and considering what makes this credible. Is it a blog written by Joe Schmo? Or is it an article that a journalist who's written various pieces published on a well-known media source? It doesn't have to be fancy, but just keep your eye on that. Relevance. Is it relevant to my topic? I always think that one's silly. I hardly ever see a writer use a source that isn't relevant. But you might think about how relevant is it? Maybe I could look for a more relevant source, something richer, deeper, providing more for my content or my topic for my composition. And then authority, that runs a little bit like credibility. So we could just say they overlap. This is why I don't use this test much, but it's still whatever. We'll keep going. It's memorable. So what gives this person the authority to speak on the subject matter? And is it accurate? Sometimes it's hard to know, but maybe ask another person, does this seem true? Or Google a little further to verify that the facts are replicated in other sources, other places, other studies by other people. And then we have P, purpose. This one is probably a little bit more important to me right now in English 101, really early on when we're working on a composition. If the piece is meant to just sell something, or if it's meant to just rant and criticize something, if it comes off a little bit heavy in tone, like bias or a sales pitch or angry, then you might need to be a little bit suspicious of it. Yeah, I think I can leave it at that for now. I don't want you guys going too deep. I just want you to know that it would be wise, even early on in this course and quarter, to be thinking simply about whether or not the sources are the best sources to really fuel your composition and add to your voice and further your academic thinking and ideas within your compositions. So, in addition to the research resource provided below, you'll also find the link to finish your replies if you haven't done that yet to each other's pitches. I really want to give you guys all that credit, so make sure you get that done. Remember, you need to choose your single pitch and submit your plan. And I cannot wait to start outlining with you when I see you again. And even more so, I'm excited that we're actually going to draft over the weekend. I want to remind you guys again, while I have your attention, that I hope you'll aim for a complete draft. My phone cut me off. I don't know where I was, but the point is, I hope you'll aim, and we'll talk about what complete means more when we're in class together again. It's going to be subjective. It's going to depend on you guys and your goals and whatnot. But if for some reason we don't reach that complete mark, we'll check in next week and we'll find out what made us feel stuck. Is it time? Is it a lack of flow? Is it insecurity, uncertainty? But start thinking reflectively now so that you can answer those questions for me later. Okay, I hope you guys have a great night, day, whatever it is, weekend. If you waited to watch this video, take it easy. Talk to you soon.